What's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So this video, we got ourselves a second gen Cummins that when you're cruising between 70 and 80, the torque converter feels like it's locking and unlocking. So let's take her for a drive and I'll show you what's going on. Back out on the road. Actually, funny story just happened to me driving this thing to get it warmed up and get it jacked up. Got pulled over by a cop because apparently this doesn't have a plate on the front, it has a dealer plate on the back. So first time ever getting pulled over on a test drive in 9 years of business. But he was cool. I just told him I don't own the truck. Told him I was out on a test drive. He said, okay, have a good one. So you can see right there, watch the RPM. When you're cruising, gotta slow down a little bit to about 85. Right there. You see the RPM jumping around? So what that most likely is, so more than likely what's going on is the torque converter clutch is locking and unlocking. Usually that's a throttle position sensor issue. I've had great luck with just recalibrating them and sending them on their way. Sometimes you have to replace a sensor, but they're pretty pricey for a dealer unit, and that's all I use on them because I've had bad luck with the aftermarket ones. Also, potentially, it could be a brake switch because the way the circuit's designed, when the brake is pressed, it'll come out a lockup. So sometimes the brake pedal gets worn and you can just put your foot underneath the pedal and kind of pull it up and it'll stop. And if that's the case, then it's a brake switch. But I've already tried that on this one and it still keeps doing it. So let's get it back to the shop and I'll show you how to check the voltage for the TPS and see if it's off, and then recalibrate it. All right guys, so we got our hood open and the throttle position sensor available to get at. A couple different ways you can check the voltage. You can check with the scanner. If you don't have a scanner, then you can check it with the just a back probing with a voltmeter. So the scanner, you'll go into transmission, at least on my Snap-on, and it will be the throttle position voltage pin right there. But if you don't have a scanner, then you have to remove the throttle linkage, which I've already done. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 10mm bolts. 2 clips that hold the cover on if it's still there, and then you want to access the plug, which is right here, and it is the light blue black wire on this truck anyway. And if your throttle position sensor is an OEM sensor, it will actually have the voltage it's supposed to be at on it. In this case, it's supposed to be 0.558 volts. So with our multimeter, ground on ground, touch the positive to your back probe, and we have 0.513. So in order to get the proper voltage we need to actually spin the position sensor. So under these bolts, if you just loosen them, this will spin like an old school carburetor setting timing, and that will adjust the voltage on here. So at idle, we want to see 0.558 volts. So these are a T20. You don't want to take them all the way out, just enough so you can get the sensor to spin, like so. So now we'll probe it again. So you can see as you spin it, the voltage changes. So we want to get that number to 0.558 or as close as we can to that. I like to go past a little bit. So we'll go there. And then when you tighten them up, you can get it to where you want it. There, we got it to hold at 555, 556. To actually perform the reset for the transmission or TPS voltage, what you're gonna do is turn the key off, disconnect both batteries, and then turn the key back on and leave it on for half an hour. So what that does is that'll wipe out the voltage and the capacitors and everything inside the truck, and it'll wipe the memory of the TPS. And then after half an hour, you hook the batteries back up, turn the key on, and then slowly depress and release the accelerator pedal 3 times, and then turn the key off, and then we should be good to go. So I got the key off, let's get the batteries unhooked and let her sit. All right, so the truck is sat for roughly half an hour with the key on and the batteries unhooked. So in that time, I put the throttle linkage back on and put all that back together. So now we're good to go now. So now all we gotta do is hook the batteries back up, but first we wanna turn the key off so we don't power up the ECM and stuff without being ready to calibrate the voltage that the TPS is set to. So let's get the batteries hooked back up, and then I'll show you what to do from inside. All right, so what we wanna do is turn the key on, and then 1, 2, 3. Key off. And then you can start the truck. Now we do have a check engine light now. That's just because I unplugged the sensor and everything. So just take the scanner and clear that out, and then we'll go for a test drive. All right guys, so we got back on a test drive with the truck after resetting the throttle position sensor voltage. And that moved our problem from 70 to 80 kilometers an hour to 80 to 90 kilometers an hour. 95% of the time, recalibrating the throttle position sensor is going to fix the problem, but you still have the odd time where that doesn't do it. So after doing all that, we decided to try a BD diesel isolation diode on it. So what that does is that cleans up the signal going to the torque converter circuit from the throttle position sensor. What can happen is when the sensor goes bad, you can get some backfeeding on it, and just like kind of little dead spots in the sweep of the potentiometers in the sensor. So instead of replacing the sensor, which is about a $400 part, you can get a diode, which is about $47, and put it in the torque converter lockup circuit and to ground. So if you come with me for a minute, I will show you what that looks like. So as you can see it down in there, it is on the black connector. So there's black, white, and gray. The difference in the color is the face of the connector, not the back of the connector, because there's 2 black ones and one's gray, one's black. So the black one is closest to the engine, and it goes on the orange dark blue wire, which is the torque converter lockup circuit. And then you just run it over to this ground coming off the battery, and that grounds it all out. So after installing that diode, took it for another test drive, and the torque converter clutch cycling went away. So our P0122 is gone. That was the low voltage on the throttle position sensor. So after adjusting the voltage up to where it should be, that went away, but we still had the cycling and it changed. So after doing the diode, our cycling went away. So yeah, this truck is good to go and ready to hit the road again. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Instagram. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.